Hi everybody, I'm Jay here from the studio, and I just want to demonstrate that I have full I just thought I would I just like this red. You know, it's very relaxing and conducive to work. Now I can turn up. I got some little white accent lights over here. I can turn these on, maybe get a little bit more normal color there. All right, I kind of like this. So how's everybody doing? All right, listen guys, I'm sorry I haven't been on much live streaming wise. I just noticed something on the bottom. Oh goodness, I was looking for that cable. I must have fell. It's on the floor. Oh boy, I like that. That's amazing. Excuse me. I've been having, cardiac palpitations and that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I still have to a real job. I'm talking about doing studio work, and so the thing is when I'm not live streaming, it's not because I'm being lazy, it's because I'm really busy doing other things, and also because I've been having these episodes of palpitations and tachycardia and stuff. Occasionally I just don't feel like going on. I feel like resting. The whole thing is a lot of it has to do with years of, this is the theory, years of abuse, like not sleeping. I'm not talking about drug abuse or anything like that, just like most of my life I've run on sleep deficit because I think sleep is a waste of time. But what I've been doing lately is I've been kind of on, let me just do this here. I've been kind of on a quest to improve my health and to some degree my appearance, although these lights don't exactly help that, but if I put it out in front, it's a different story. And I've been using a lot of moisturizers and stuff, and for an old guy, I've noticed that it makes a difference. And the interesting thing is some of the things that I've been using products by a company called Brickell, and they're a very high-end, high-class premium company. And I'm sorry, I can't say Brickell. I gotta say Brickell. Just to me, it just sounds better. But I heard somebody on YouTube say Brickell. I'm like, is that how they say it? So I want to show you a little bit about some of those products too. But so anyway, I have been doing a lot of mixing and engineering work, and I've been wearing my monitors out, and I actually wore out my monitor controller. I got another one. I turned every light on just so you guys could see it. This is the new Behringer Studio XL. It's brand new. And what it does is it allows you to take different input sources and select the different monitor speakers that I have in the studio. You see like the Adams and the Tascams and the vintage ARs and stuff. And what it does is it allows you to control the relative volumes between all of them. So like when you switch between them, they all relatively sound the same, but you want to have a big knob to control the overall volume of everything. And my other controller had audio on the potentiometer, and if anybody who knows electronics, you know that a stereo potentiometer does not track. So I would start out, like I mix at low volumes, and then I turn it up later to check it. And so I would be at low volumes, and what happens is when you bring it up from zero, one side would always come up higher than the other. So that means that the mix is always going to be hot on this side, right? And then you turn the knob more, and then it would sort of kind of catch up. But there were periods in between in the range where it would be all goofy. This uses a voltage-controlled amplifier in it, a precision amplifier circuit to control the volume of the stereo mix. So basically, they've got the control voltage on that knob, and the control voltage is not the audio. So you're not going to get that mismatch, that imbalance. Tonight's drink is rum, soda water with cinnamon. Anyway, I'm probably losing my Taiwan Live TV audience because I haven't been broadcasting that much. But quite honestly, in April, in the first week of April, Taiwan Live TV will be 6 years old, and it never gained the traction that I wanted it to do. June-ish, nice to see you. Well, professionally wise, good. I just been having, heart palpitations and those kind of things. I actually ordered a cardiac monitor, a 2-lead, clip-on deal. It's got actually a pretty decent one, but I ordered the 27th of January from China, and I could have swam and got it already. There's a guy, there's a Chinese guy, right, in Fujian, who ordered an inflatable raft, a gasoline motor, outboard motor, and a gas tank, like from Alibaba, and he did a 19-hour trip across the Taiwan Strait. I could have went and got that thing, but they returned it. They shipped it, then they recalled it because they wanted to change the battery. So I guess that's better. But I was just saying earlier, I've been having heart palpitations, and they've been bothering me a little bit. But I've been pretty busy doing mixes. I'm going to adjust this light here. I like it a little more. Yeah, there you go. Sylvia, nice to see you. Thank you. Well, I've been using these products, and I've been wanting to talk about this. Now, here's the thing. I've been talking about Taiwan Live TV, and I think Taiwan Live TV has run its course, to be perfectly honest with you. But I don't have time for another project. I really, really, really want to do a new YouTube channel, and I want to review men's products, but it takes a lot of effort, and the problem is I'm an audio guy. I'm not a video guy. I can do video editing, but I'm just not very good at it. It takes a long time. I'm a lot faster with audio editing, but thanks, Sylvia. I do feel better. I appreciate it. I was telling Drunish I've been waiting on my cardiac monitor, which has taken forever to get here. But I want to talk to you just briefly. I want to show you about this company, because this company, they call themselves Brickell, but I got to say Brickell because it sounds more upscale. They're really upscale, and they have a package. It's free. It's a sample pack of their 9 best-selling products. If you live in the United States, it's free shipping. If you live outside the United States, you have to pay shipping. So I paid the shipping. It was $15, and it never got here. And so, Brickell was sending me emails. Hey, how's it going? Do you like do you like the samples? And here's 10% off of your first purchase and all this stuff. But offer expires soon. And I wrote back and I go, well, the offer's going to expire before I get the package. I haven't seen it. And they sent me another one, like immediately, no charge, no shipping on it. They paid the shipping on it. So wow, that one got here in like 5 days. But then, for some strange reason, maybe because I complained to Federal Express, and I said, should I ask you for your money back, for my shipping money back, seeing as how my package never got here? And all of a sudden it started showing up on my tracking radar, and then it arrived too. And so I've got 2 of these sample packs, and they're quite generous. So I'm probably the only guy that has 2, because you're not allowed to get more than 1, because it's a free sample. Come on, you don't want to take advantage of them. But let me show you what it looks like. It's really cool. It comes in this. I was on the wrong side here. It comes in this really cool, this is a pouch that has bubble wrap built inside the pouch. So this is it, Brickell, which I like to say Brickell because they are so upscale. I'm going to say that continuously. But these are and then this is really intelligent. Now I was you guys know I was a manufacturing engineer at Cybex, and I was also the packaging engineer. And look at this. What they did is inside that bubble pack, they have a piece of sticky back bubble wrap. This is bubble wrap, but it's sticky on the inside. And so what happens is you just lift up the front of it, and all these things are stuck to it. Now look what they got. They got shampoo, face wash, face moisturizer, another face wash with charcoal, body wash. On the top, they've got anti-aging cream. Yeah, I could use that. Eye cream and face scrub. And the face scrub has some kind of a grit in it, you know, which is an exfoliant. And these products are 100% natural, and they use a lot of interesting natural ingredients, which threw me off at first, because when I started using their shave cream, which by the way is exceptional, it had this very bizarre smell, and I couldn't pinpoint it. It was bugging me, you know, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I know what this is, but I was like, then it just bothered me the rest of the day. It's like, you know, what is this? I know what it is. I know what it is. I was thinking I didn't know, but then I was like, I smelled this before, but I don't know what it is. And so I eventually read the ingredients, and it's lemongrass. I mean, I've never had lemongrass on my face. You know, you eat lemongrass in, like, you know, tom yum and other kind of like Thai food and soups and things, right? But I've never had lemongrass in any kind of a body wash, shave cream, shampoo, anything, right? And a lot of their products have lemongrass. And at first, it put me off. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, it put me off at first, but not anymore. I really, really like it. So I've been using the eye cream, and, you know, under the, you know, and then on the crow's feet. And even though, you know, I'm a pretty old guy, the anti-aging cream and the other stuff, I've noticed a reduction in the visible amount of wrinkles in my face. I'm like, wow. And I never cared about that. I never tried to, you know, stop it or improve it or anything. This is like a recent thing for me. So I'm enjoying their all-natural shave cream, which doesn't foam, which is interesting because it goes on and stays kind of transparent, so you can see. Been shaving only with the electric razor, no more blades. I'm not tearing up my face anymore. It's just, I can't. So that's kind of why I'd love to do a new YouTube channel, but not live stream. I'd like to do like edited videos where I can edit out all the mistakes and just say what I want to say, and, you know, keep them down to 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But one of the things I would actually like to do is do a shaving demonstration with the Panasonic Arc 5 to show how close it is with theirs and various other shaving creams, because I got to tell you, I can't be the only man that dreads shaving. I prefer to look like a bum. Hey Dean, fist bump, hello from Taiwan. Hello to Twitch from Taiwan. I prefer to look like a bum because every time I shaved with a cartridge razor, my face felt like I was cutting it off, you know. Hey Matthew, fist bump, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So, you know, and a lot of wrinkles that it had around in this, you know. I mean, they're it's helping, you know. Got my little light here. It's helping. Of course, you know, you can't do anything about everything, but the point being that doesn't matter how old you are, you can always do something, make you look better. And, you know, I mean, husbands, we want to look at least decently as good as we can for our wives, right? And the thing of it is too, is because a lot of guys think it's like an unmanly thing to worry about these things. But if you start asking your wife about, like, what's that moisturizer do? She'd be more than happy to tell you. And like, what does this facial cream do and stuff? And they'll be like, what? Why are you looking, you know, at this stuff? And then you say, well, I'm just interested, and she'd be more than happy about that. Yeah, they're turning me sunburn. Yeah, definitely. Now, just because I haven't been on, I just want you guys to know, it doesn't mean I haven't been busy. I have been having palpitations, but I've been really cutting down on like today I didn't have any tea. I haven't had coffee for a couple of days. Hey Mike, fist bump to you. I haven't had coffee or tea. I've had 2 cups of coffee, and I didn't even drink like the whole cup in the last 2 weeks, because if I start drinking coffee again, then my heart rate goes up and I start getting palpitations. So my heart monitor will be here later in the week, and I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch that waveform, that funky, weird stuff that it's doing, and my doctor is going to prescribe some medication, and we're going to put a stop to it. Oh, so it'll be great. But it's nothing that we think is life-threatening at all. It's just not. It's not dangerous. But I tell you, it's funny because an illustration that I use is like, okay, so you waterboard somebody, right? And they'll tell you anything that you want to know. Because see, the thing about waterboarding is you're not drowning. But every response that you get from your body tells you that you are. Yeah, I've had several 24-hour Holter monitors. I've stayed in the hospital and was monitored for several days, and they haven't been able to catch this thing that happens to me. So, Jay boy, I went to the hospital, right? Good to see you too, by the way. Fist bump. I talked with a doctor. He really didn't take me very seriously. I've been to him for a couple things. I don't go to him anymore. I think he's kind of a jerk. But my personal physician, he's great. And he takes everything I say very seriously. He listens to me, and when I ask him about things, he searches it. And when I make suggestions, like, for example, he now suggests ubiquinol and CoQ10 to his patients because he's seen what it does for me, right? So I went to this hospital under this other guy, and they didn't find anything. He says, "Okay, I'm sending you home. There's nothing wrong." And okay, so the nurse comes in and they untaped it. They took all this, the stickies off, and so I went into the shower, and as soon as I got in the shower and turned on the water, my heart rate shot up to like about 170. I started having tachycardia in the shower. It's like, great, So, well, it is. But, Jay boy, if everybody did their job, the world would be a much different place, wouldn't it? My mother was a registered nurse. And by the way, I didn't mention this to anybody. I'm not looking for any sympathy. My mother and I, we were not close, but she passed away last week at 93. But she was, seriously, that's okay. No condolences. It's fine. But she used to tell me that when she was a nurse, and especially in training, they were taught that the doctors are like gods, and whatever they say, you can't question them. Now, thank goodness that's changed, because let me tell you, if you ask me now, I wasn't close to my mother, and I ended up not respecting her because of her lifestyle, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for the profession of nursing. And I'm going to tell you, when I ever was having anything to do with any medical problems, the person I want to talk to was the nurse. And if they have what later on, because I'm old enough to remember, the nurse practitioner was an emerging type of medical professional. And I used to just ask the nurse practitioner what was going on. And I found that he or she, whoever the nurse practitioner was, that person was the one that knew what was going on. More than any of the doctors. It's amazing. The doctors are, they're high-level people, but there's kind of like, I think there's too much going on, and I just think that, anyway, so even for me, I could benefit from having a manager, but that's what the nurse practitioners do. They manage the patients, but they also know so much about the practice. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is long. I come from longevity, so I'm 66, so I'm like 45. If you think about it that way. But anyway, so if you go back early in the broadcast, you can see that I showed the Brickell, as I like to call it, Brickell. Their package of I'll just show real quick. This is their free sample pack for men, and I highly recommend it. They do have sales portals around the world. If you live in the U.S. is where they're based. It's everything's made in the States. It's 100% natural. These products are incredible. A couple of them I didn't really like that much. Like the shampoo didn't really do it for me, but it smells like mint. It's the aromas are amazing, but their face washes are good, really good. And what I really, really like is if you look at the top of this, right, there's the anti-aging cream on the left and the eye cream. Yeah. Those aren't the production size, but the production size, they're $50 each. And I'm going to tell you, they're worth every penny. The anti-aging cream does wonders, and the eye cream, like for the crow's feet and those dark circles in the bags under the eyes, yeah. And you know, it's not vanity, guys. It's not, and you're not being like, you know, wussy or something if you care about how you look. It really matters. All right, so I was talking about my monitor controller, and I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't show you the picture. This is my big console, and my older my Mackie Big Knob Studio on the top. That's the monitor controller that I had on the top, and on the bottom is the Studio XL. And in all fairness, the Studio XL has well, it's bigger because it has more functions. The top controller, the Mackie Big Knob, has what they call the Studio Plus, and it has the exact same number of channels. So if you look at them top to bottom, they're laid out almost identically. Like for example, if you look on the top left on the Mackie, there's 2 input channels, and then there's one stereo pair. But if you look down below on the XL, there's 2 input channels, and then there's 2 stereo pairs. So it's basically double. But it's actually quite a big controller, and I love it, and it works so well, and it's so clean. So now I got to tell you what I'm getting into now. I put it off. I'm working with virtual instruments now, and MIDI in a way that I never have before. And I got a new, basically it's a plug-in, but it's from Plug-in Boutique, and I'm not sponsored by those guys, and I really should be talking about this on my studio channel. But I got to tell you, it's designed to help composers to create pieces of music, and I've been using it to orchestrate some of my clients' tunes, and I'm bringing it to the next level. And I've got 2 sets. I got 2 sets of virtual instruments, actually 3 now, and I got like all the old synthesizers from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's bizarre, because I already have a MIDI keyboard over here, and so you just load the virtual instrument on a track, or however many tracks that you want in your DAW. And you write MIDI notes for them, and then they play back whatever you want. And so I actually have a symphony orchestra, and it's real samples. It's amazing, and you can do nuances. I don't want to get into it, too much, because it's over a lot of people's heads. They don't know about these things. But for example, with a violin, you've got like an up, I guess there's an up bow and a down bow, and you've got vibrato, and you've got slides, and all kinds of techniques that I don't understand, but I just know them when I hear them. All of those parameters are programmable. So what you're doing is, like, you're playing on the keyboard, and the problem for years with synthesizers in the studio is you'll have somebody playing what is essentially a string part on a keyboard, and it just sounds like a guy playing piano on a violin, and it doesn't work. Nah, that's all done, because now I can play the parts. I want the violin to play these notes, it becomes MIDI, which is the musical instrument digital interface. It's the language that musical instruments talk. And the MIDI notes in the DAW trigger the instrument, but you program the instrument to play it like a violin. So you can have a long note. It could be like, ah, and then you can have it go, ah, like that. Or you can get a down bow, up bow. It's nuts. So the deal is the realism is off the charts. So I'm doing orchestrations on some of my clients' tunes and bringing them to the next level. But I'm also obviously incorporating all this stuff into my new music. So I've got some new stuff that I've been using my acoustic guitar on. And actually Scalar 2 has, this is crazy, they have acoustic guitar sounds built into it. So you can play the MIDI on the keyboard, but the sound coming out is a guitar. You can do strumming, and you can do down picking and up picking and all kinds of stuff. I was like, why did I buy an acoustic guitar? I should have just, but I'm a guitar player, so I like to play guitar. But the other thing that's cool about this whole thing with MIDI is that in my DAW, which is Reaper, I use Reaper, and I make no bones about it. Reaper is the most capable DAW that there is, and I don't care what you use. Reaper does stuff that your DAW doesn't do. And one of the things that I like about it is that I can plug an electric guitar in, and I can play notes on the guitar, okay? And Reaper's retune plug-in converts that signal into MIDI. Now, as long as I'm playing single notes, not chords, playing single notes, I can play a guitar note, right? And then slowly vibrato it like a violin, and then use that MIDI to trigger a violin or a cello. And I can do orchestrations just by playing guitar, because I'm a guitarist and I know how that works. And I know the harmonies and the fingerboard really well to do harmonies and orchestrations that way. So instead of, because many people don't know this, but the notes are the same. Like violin and guitars and cellos, they're all tuned the same. And basically, I have played with violins goofing around. I mean, I can't use a bow very well, but when I was a kid, I had a 3/4 When I was a young adult, I had a 3/4 size violin. I used to play slide on it because that made sense. I could play slide on it, and it sounded great. I used the guitar pick and played slide. But what I'm saying is like you can do like the lower parts, and you can assign them to a cello instrument, and do higher parts, and then it becomes like a viola, and then violin, cello, and then violins, and you do crazy stuff. So I'm doing more of this, and that's why I've been really busy and not live streaming. Plus, occasionally I haven't felt that good. But okay, now, so basically this is just a big catch-up. All right, now, as far as the, excuse me, I'm sorry, as far as the other things that we've been doing, we have the Lantern Festival here in Taiwan, and this is Phoenix, and she's coming up on a big hippopotamus, and I love this. The Lantern Festival is it's a family-oriented festival, and it's basically now just become a tradition in Taiwan like this. This is a pangolin. And some of the lanterns are really cute. And I wouldn't mind doing some of these, not for the Lantern Festival. I just wouldn't mind just doing some of these just as a fun project with my daughter. And this is Phoenix with, she's standing next to a giraffe, and she's doing the, of course, the Asian sign of picture taking, like a peace sign. Okay, and this is another shot of her next to an elephant. That elephant was really cool. Now, I got one film that I want to show you. Yes, it is, the controversial animal. I got one film that I want to show you that I took at the, it's 1 minute and 13 seconds long, and I'm going to mute the microphone, okay? And I want to play this for you because I just want you to get the sense of what it's like to be at the Lantern Festival, because I walked around with my gimbal. So here it is, because I did do a live stream from there, but it's captured a little bit. The live stream wasn't all that good, and the problem in Taiwan is we got fantastic connectivity, and the 5G rollout has been very successful. But internet in Taiwan is really cheap. You know, it's phone contracts are really cheap, and so they're all unlimited. So people never turn it off, and they walk around their phone, and they're constantly updating Facebook. Facebook is huge here, constantly updating Facebook, constantly getting line messages and stuff. And so basically, all the bandwidth is being taken up on nothing, just junk. And I have suggested that people turn it off, and they laugh. Oh, you're crazy, because I don't want to miss my FOB, which is what they call it, FB, Facebook. I don't want to miss my Facebook notifications, because somebody may upload a picture of their breakfast, you know. So, okay, there you go. Now, here we go. I'm going to show you my, after that diatribe, I'm going to show you my, the video that I took, because the live stream wasn't any good, really, because there's no bandwidth left from Facebook breakfast pictures. This is? Pangolin. Yeah, so that's where I took that picture. You heard me telling my wife, you know, do you know what this is? And they're cute animals. Just leave them alone. Gosh, they're just... Anyway, they're really cute. So that's basically what I've been doing. I got this is what it comes in. I got my Brickell men's products free sample kit. And I got to tell you, I would, let me put this out there. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice, if you can do video editing, I could use your help. Seriously. I can do video editing. It, in my opinion, is not a good use of my time. And I'm an audio guy. I'm better at it. And I'm better able to serve my clients as a mastering engineer and as a mixing engineer than I am as a video editor. But what I would like to do is do the photography. I actually used to be a photographer. I can do photography and videography okay. And so what I would like to do is do the video recording for a new YouTube channel about men's products and some men's products reviews. But I don't have the time because of the editing. And I don't think it would go over. I don't think it would serve the purpose to do it live. See, one of the reasons I do live streams is kicked the tripod, is because I don't have to edit. See, if I had this kind of conversation with you guys for 35 minutes, you know, and almost 36 minutes, and I had to go back and do editing or things like that, it would never get done. It just wouldn't get done. And it's not that I can't. And I've got a very powerful PC that I'm using for my music production. I mean, I can run 1,500 instances of a plugin on this thing. It's nuts. But it's just that I don't have the time to do the editing, and I don't make any excuses for that. So, and that's very, very true. They are. But all right, let's just say this. Let's just say hypothetically, Jay Boy, and you know, I trust your judgment, and you've been one of my big supporters from, you know, way back in the beginning. If I was to do a live stream and I got my t-shirt on and I'm in the restroom, because you guys are seeing a different side of me, you know, and I realize I'm putting myself out there, but that's okay. There's going to be nothing, you know, improper. But, and Sylvia's still with us. I like her opinion too, because I trust her opinion also. But I trust all your opinions. If I were to say, you know, today I want to show you the shaving cream, and I, you know, put it on, and I use my razor, and I tell you what I think about it, and, you know, as a live stream where you can't edit it, and you can't make it any shorter. Of course, you could take the video from the live stream and edit it and upload that, and then delete the first, but I don't know. I just don't know how well that would go over. And, you know, the other thing too is you need multiple camera shots, because like there's so many tips and so many techniques of things that, you know, you really need to be able to show, like, for example, you know, you have to clean the razor and stuff like this, and you just need, you know, you don't want to see like, oh, let me move the camera kind of stuff, you know, let me do this. And I'm just thinking live streams are really good for, you know, for I'm not sure what that means. I got to cover it. I would be covering myself, but okay, I don't know. I just don't know how well that would go over. Live streams are great, you know, for like the Lantern Festival and things. And I've covered a lot of stuff in Taiwan, and I think maybe I'm running out of steam on Taiwan Live TV. I think maybe it's time to change the focus. I just don't know if like a men's product review live stream, it would be difficult, yes. Because, you know, the other thing that I could do, though, although, again, it's editing, I could do shorts. I could make sure that all I do is I limit myself to shorts and end it at that. So they're all YouTube shorts, and maybe even, I don't know, portrait mode. Gosh, I can't believe I said that. Like, for example, I could say, you know, this is shaving cream I'm gonna review today. The next shot it's this, and the next shot it's that, and then it's the end, saying, well, you know, okay, I got a close shave, or I didn't like it, or I did like it, and this is what happened, that what happened, as opposed to doing the whole thing. So, yeah, that might be a way to get into it. And then, hey, Jay Boy, you don't edit, do you? Are you an editor? I also have some music video editing work available. A lot of these clients that I'm working with have no idea. They've got no resources for doing anything. Some of these people that I'm working with have been playing guitar, you know, singing in a band for 40 or 50 years sometimes, and they've never done anything. And okay, see this? See this? Yes, they are. They are listed. They are listed. And let me take just, I'll talk about that, Mike, real quick as a side note. I want to go back to this in a second. I was in the mall yesterday, and I was shopping alongside my wife, looking at beauty products, and I picked up 2 beauty products that are designed for women, and one of them has a specific kind of acid that's meant for washing the skin. I got it right away, and I told my wife, I said, you might want to get this. And I got another super intense. It's these little tiny, like tins. They're really small jars, expensive, of this just massive hydration formulas, right? And last night I had a nice shave, and after that I used one of those products for women, and I was astonished at how my skin felt. I'm like, holy cow, man, this is like, I wish I had a pillow, man, that felt this good, I'd sleep all night. My cheek against another cheek that felt like this would be great. But yeah, see, what J-Boy said, I hate editing, it's time consuming. It is time consuming. It's very time consuming. Although there are people that are really good at it, and they do all kinds of keyboard macros and those sort of things. And I do have some fairly good editing tools. But I'm just saying, it's not, I'm not asking people to do things totally for free either. In the case of my studio clients, some of these people have just been like, guitarists and singers and keyboard players and stuff. And I'm kind of making like a dream happen for them, which is good. I love doing that. And I love encouraging people. You guys know me. I love encouraging people to do things and be successful, right? And so they don't really have any contacts or know how to approach people to do music videos. And so I become kind of like the multimedia, like, central point for them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I make recommendations about mastering and distribution and things, because, I mean, how many people do you know that have been offered a recording contract from CBS Records? And so I know about these things. So I'm able to help them. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. And some of the things the whole game has changed. Like today, most of these people that are doing editing, like for industrials, like commercial product introductions or seminars, things like that. These people have subscriptions to stock footage. Okay, and there's dozens of stock footage providers, right? And so, like, Deposit Photos is a real cheap one, for example. But there's Adobe, and there's Getty, and there's tons of these, right? And so most of these people have stock footage subscriptions. So if you hire them to do your editing, they can just take stock footage, and you can make a music video out of stock footage. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about making a music video entirely out of photography done, by the artist, featuring the artist. I mean, it's cool. They gotta have pictures of them in there and things like that. But it's largely going to be. There's one video in particular that I'm thinking of that's going to largely be stock footage. So yeah. Anyway, but I am going to want to do a video with my first release. It's funny because I come from the age before video, right? And I remember when MTV started. And I remember the first music video that I ever did was in 1981. And it was a single camera. But what we did was we had, the producer had us, the director had us perform the song multiple times using a single camera from various angles, you see. So later on they would just cut them together. Nowadays they would just have multiple cameras. They just have a bunch of cameras shooting all at once. but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter, and you know the results is all that matters. And then I got out of the business, and I started concentrating on engineering and producing, and not worrying so much about the artist side of it until the '90s. But still in the '90s, I didn't care about music videos. By that time, MTV was starting to fall off and all that. The novelty of it wasn't there anymore, and radio airplay is what I concentrated on, and people just didn't care about it as much as they did like in 1982. So what happened was, though, in the mid-90s, around 85, 86, I remember one band that I, this is really funny, I ended up doing a record for them. They're actually quite good. And they scheduled a music video to be shot in the studio. So they got permission from the studio owner and stuff, and they asked me, would I like to be in the music video? I go, yeah, but I'm not an actor. I said, no, you just need to play the producer. I said, oh, well, that's what I did. So, okay, that's fine. And I had an Amazon parrot, a blue-fronted Amazon, and that's a beautiful parrot, well-trained. And I said, do you mind if I bring my parrot? Because she's a beautiful bird, and I've never seen a music video where they ever had, like, I said, let me just talk out loud. And they said, okay. And I said, imagine the producer, parrot on his shoulder, and you're talking about the mix. And they were like, oh man, I love it because it's so crazy. So we did it. And they came in, and it was, 1989, it was cool. But I mean, and the funny thing is I knew some of the artists that were some of the first music videos on. Okay, you guys remember Digny Figness, the girl with the curious hand? Remember? Okay, I'm going to wait before I say anything else about Digny Figness. Remember Digny Figness? He was one of the first guys on MTV in the early 80s. Remember? The girl with the curious hand. Remember Digny Figness? Okay. Now, so the video company came in and they laid Gobi tracks down, and they had, I don't know this stuff because I've only worked on one feature film as an audio guy, but I don't know the video or the film side. But they had this car that ran on the tracks, with a camera on it. It was really cool. And what happened was the band had a fight. And between the time that I pulled the master fader down and finished the record, okay, and they sent it out for mastering, they fired the singer and hired another guy. So the guy in the video was lip syncing to a track that he hadn't sang. It wasn't his voice, and we didn't have time to do it. They didn't want to do it. I said, "You guys, what do you want to do? You want to go back and I can remix this record? It's no problem. What do you want to do? You want to redo the tracks with a new singer?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." So this guy came in, and his girlfriend, now because the old singer was out and his girlfriend was going to interact with him, the new guy's girlfriend came in, and it turned out that she was actually really nice looking, but more importantly, she turned out to be quite a good actress. And they did 4 or 5 takes, and the video producer, just is nice. It was really cool watching this because I don't know anything about it. I was just sitting in the control room, just going like. He very gently gave her just a little bit of guidance, and man, I remember that she just she took the lines that she was supposed to say. And this is what they tell me the actors are supposed to do. She made the lines her own, and there were some spontaneous things that she did, and some ad-lib lines that she did. And I remember the guy going, "Cut! Oh, that was great." He's like, "Wow, that was fantastic." And so they had this really, really cool video with the singer lip syncing to tracks that he didn't sing. with the new girlfriend, and I was like, it was, and they had a guy come in, and his job was to play in the video the recording engineer. But I was the engineer in the session. But I got upgraded to the producer, so I wore like a Hawaiian shirt and had my parrot on my shoulder, and it was really funny. And so the guy, he was a long-haired guy. He said, I said, you look like a recording engineer to me. He says, I mean, recording engineers could be any size, shape, color, nationality, whatever you can imagine. I said, but you look like a recording engineer to me, right? And he said, well, I don't know anything about this, so tell me what I should say. And I said, okay. And what they wanted was, the director of the video wanted the video to open in the studio with the producer of the session, me, talking to the engineer about what kind of a record, or what kind of a mix that we wanted to sound on the end. And so now you got to understand, this was like 1985, 1986, and so everything is hardware. There were no plug-ins or anything like that. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, we want this kind of, because I'm just basically describing the record we already made. It says we want something that sounds kind of like this. We want this kind of spatiality, and I said, here's what you should say. You should say, okay, I'm gonna patch some toys in, which is, you hear a lot of those old school engineers say, I'm gonna patch this with a patch bay, the cables. Like, you guys have seen those 1950s science fiction movies, like where the aliens are coming, and they got the women at the switchboards wearing headsets, and they're going like this, and they're plugging cables in, right? Okay. Oh, the Pentagon? Yes, okay. The President of the United States says, okay. So those are patch bays. And they have those in recording studios. So all the outboard equipment, all, the compressors, limiters, the noise gates, the equalizers, and the send effects and the insert effects, like, reverbs and delays and so forth, harmonizers, they can all be patched into the console so they can come up on the various sends and returns. Okay, so that's what that's about, patching. And so what every engineer does at the beginning of the session is they patch in what they think that they need to use. And I had, like, a standard group of patching for every session. But when you're done, you pull them all out, because the next engineer comes in for the next session, and who knows what that's going to be. So that's why I said, we're going to do this kind of a mix. And he said, okay, I'll patch some toys in, which is exactly what a recording engineer would have said, like in 1985. Yeah, I'm going to patch some toys in, and the toys being like the digital reverb, the digital delay, the Eventide harmonizer, the Pultec EQ, and a bunch of other stuff, right? And LA2As and everything else that we used to use back in those days. So, wow, this is great. I haven't even thought about this since it happened. And I don't know if I can. Now I got me wondering. I wonder if I can find that video. I think I know who to ask. I might be able to find that video. If I can find that video, I'm going to feature it on my show. How about them apples? Would you guys like that? Would you guys like to see that video that we worked on? That's got to be something. I mean, talk about a vintage gig. Wow. So we're not getting any comments. So either you guys have all left or you're listening. This used to happen to me on my national talk show. Okay, good. I'd be, the phone number here is 1-800-254-TALK. And I look at the Gentner hybrid, the phone patch, and there's nothing lighting up, because people were listening. So I used to have that kind of problem too with some of the performances we used to do where people wouldn't comment or they wouldn't clap because they would just be listening. They'd be sitting there. So anyway, All right, good. Just checking. Good. Just checking. Thanks. A gentleman who ran. Joe Deegan used to hang out in the studio. And he's an interesting guy. He always was, wanting to learn. And he was a video guy, and he really respected, the audio side of things, which I'm going to tell you is a little bit unusual because most video guys are like the audio, and I've run into that a couple of times. I only worked on one major feature film, and did Ken just show up? I didn't see Ken. Did Ken just show up? Ken, if you showed up, fist bump to you. I've only worked on one feature film. It was called Never Met Picasso. It's when Alexis Arquette used to be male. And, that's going to get me banned. And starring Margot Kidder. And that's the only, hey, all right, now I see the comment. Nice to see you, Ken. That's the only feature film that I ever worked on. I don't know much about making videos or films. But even then I was on the audio crew, right? So it's always fascinated me. And I've had a lot of respect, for the video and film side. But the few small interactions that I've had, some of the guys I noticed on that side of the field regard the audio as a necessary evil. When I was working on Never Met Picasso, I was there one day, and there was a scene. It was Margot Kidder. I forget. It was Margot Kidder and somebody else, and they weren't getting the audio that they needed on the actress and the actor. It's kind of a confined space. And as an audio engineer, I was standing there. I had a NASA hat on. I was standing in the back. I was like, I don't know, 37 years old or something, 38 years old. And I was standing in the back, and I could tell by looking at the space that the audio was crap. And the assistant director was like, cut, and he says, how's that for audio? It was good for audio. And John Garrett, longtime friend of mine, who was the lead audio engineer, said, it's no good, man. And on a movie set, you have to be very careful. There's a hierarchy. And you have to be very careful about, you can't just speak up. You can't just walk up to the assistant director and say, hey, man, I know what the problem is. Because the assistant director is going to, which happened. But I basically, John brought me in because of my recording studio background. I've known John for a long time. And John actually worked with me in the studio. So that's why when they asked for another engineer, he said, well, we'll get Klein. So I came in, right, and I said, what you need is, because they asked me, okay, so how can we get the audio right? I said, you need a microphone here and here. And I made a big mistake. They have a, what do they call it? I forget. See, the film the film and video, they have their own names for things. And I don't know what the names of those things are because I know the audience. There's a cleat that you nail, and it has like a threaded nipple on it that you can put like a mic holder clip on it, right? And so they nail those up, like, on the beams or wherever you need them. And this scene was shot basically in a barn, and there was like a wooden, there's wooden support beams there, right? And so I made the mistake of trying to move myself, and they said, stand aside because this union has to do this. I'm like, okay. So I stood aside while I don't know what it's called, what the grip union or whatever it is, the union guy went in and he said, where do you want it? I said, right here and right here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Can I? Yeah, that's audio. Okay. So I put the mics up. And I went, okay, we're ready. And he said, okay, action, boom, and they got the take, and the audio was perfect. But this is why movies cost millions and millions of dollars, because people are standing around going like this. So, anyway. That was fun. But I didn't do another gig, movie gig ever. But working with John was cool. And I met a really cool lady from Australia named Louisa Achille. And unfortunately, I'm not kept in contact with her, but she was one of the coolest people and one of the most talented people that I've ever seen in the industry. So, let me read this again. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Oh, okay. I understand. Well, this movie wasn't actually about Picasso. It was called Never Met Picasso, and you can look that up. Now, the interesting thing is I am not listed on the credits anywhere. But my friend John Garrett is, and you can look it up and you'll see him, John Garrett, CAS. Because I was what they called an A2. See, that's audio second level. So it was A2. Although Jen Diamond, but actually she was she had a different role. Jen Diamond's in there, but she was not an audio engineer, but she was like the person that held, I guess you call it a fish pole. You know, she's doing the shotgun mic, and you see that on TV. Sometimes it drops down into the, so anyway, I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm just an audio guy. I make records. I don't make videos. I don't make films. But I made hundreds of records, and that's good. It's been a good life. It's been a lot of fun. It's been cool. But I would like to do some videos about things like keeping your skin clean and keep your skin moist. I'm going to tell you something. I never cared about this, right? I never cared about this. In the old days, I used to wear makeup on stage and stuff like that. I had people that worried about that. We had makeup. Okay, makeup. I sat there and they're going, putting lipstick on. I was like, okay, are you done? Yeah, okay, now I can go tune my guitar. Thank you. I didn't care about any of that stuff, right? But at some point, I think most older men, they get to a point where they're like, something, I better start putting the brakes on this deterioration, or I'm just going to I'm going to look so bad. And so it's only been about the last month that I've really been investigating these things, but I do it like everything else I do. If I'm going to put one foot in, I put both feet in, and so I've been doing some reading and a little bit of studying, because it doesn't take me long, because I read very, very fast. I read thousands of words per minute. And so for me to read documents or scan documents, I'd go to somebody's house and read a whole book in 20 minutes, and really be able to take the information and basically tell them what the book was about. But yeah, it's one of the things it does. But not every oil is absorbed by the skin. For example, coconut oil is not absorbed by the skin, but coconut oil makes a good basis for a shaving cream. And so, I've been studying shaving creams as a result of this. This is crazy. This is why I don't have any time. This is why I don't want to sleep. The universe is so amazing. There's just so much stuff out there, and I feel like it's a waste of time. I go to sleep at 2 o'clock. I wake up at 6. I'm like, I can't get enough, and I have no lack of energy. It's like I should be slowing down, but I'm not. I'm speeding up. So, the thing about shaving creams is that they have specific things that they're supposed to do, and the major one is it's supposed to soften the cuticle and the hair to make it easier to cut, right? But one of the things that one of the natural ingredients that you can use for shaving cream is coconut oil, because it's not absorbed in the skin. And olive oil, I don't know. I didn't investigate olive oil, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was absorbed in the skin, because I know that many people use it, for moisturizers. Olive oil is great. I love it. But I love coconut oil too. So what I'm now investigating is I know what it takes. I just got to do it. I want to make my own shaving cream. So maybe I should make my own, well, not Taiwan Live TV. Maybe I should make my own late night with MJ Klein shaving cream. What do you think? So when you come home from a late night, you can, softens the cuticles and, prevents you from being cut. But these days, I'd rather make videos about how to, like, reduce the crow's feet, And I gotta tell you, this stuff here, right? I showed it earlier, and I was talking about this. That eye cream in the center, I've been putting that eye cream on every night. Just like a vainglorious person, who's... But I recognize my age and what's going on, I got to do something. I use the anti-aging cream on my forehead, everywhere else, on my neck, from my forehead down to my neck. I use the anti-aging cream, but not under my eyes and not on the ends where the so-called crow's feet are. I use the eye cream. And I got to tell you, I never even thought about this, but it makes a big difference. I can see it. The only thing that I regret is that I didn't take a before picture. But I have 6 years worth of live streams, Taiwan Live TV, that you guys can go back and look on now. Of course, I got the red light on because I just feel like doing it because I've got full control of the studio lights here. And I am, as soon as I'm done with this live stream, I am going to fire up the computer and do some audio work here. But I'm going to keep the red lights on. But a couple of times I looked in the mirror and I was like, dang, wow. That cream, man, it actually does something, because who knows? I mean, if you look at TV, you look at magazines, or you just go into any of these cosmetic stores and all these grandiose kind of claims that they make. I mean, who knows? Who knows what this stuff does? And it works for one person, the other person hates it. So that's how it is. But for me, this Brickell stuff, man, it's worth every penny. And I'm not sponsored by them, and I don't think I ever will be. But that doesn't matter. Sponsorship has never influenced what I say about things. And I got to tell you, at first I was really thrown off by that lemongrass. But now I love it. And I found, because in Taiwan, everybody wears masks, and I know other parts of the world they're leaving off from from wearing masks. But we're still wearing masks, and always will be in Asia. And there's all kinds of little stickers that you can stick on your mask, and there's all kinds of sprays you can spray on the outside and inside. And I found some the other day at Daiso, which is a Japanese chain store that we have in Taiwan, and they have a lemongrass mask spray. And I sprayed some on the mask, and boy, it was amazing. Yeah, darkrooms, yep. Mike, I have done a tremendous amount of darkroom work, but let me point something out. The red lights are only good if you're using black and white film, because the black and white film and the black and white printing paper is not sensitive to red light. When you get into color, it's a totally different thing, because of course color is sensitive to all colors. Yeah. Boy, don't get me started on that. It's going to be another 30-minute discussion. Because my father was a Honeywell engineer, and we grew up with limited resources. My mother divorced my father for no reason. She thought she could do better, I guess. Then a man who was, busting his tail, driving 45 minutes to Tampa every day to work at Honeywell, and bought a house on a GI Bill, but my mom thought she could do better, so she divorced him. And I ended up living with my dad. I preferred living with my father. And we didn't have much because he had to pay child support on the other 3 children. And it's a long story. But Honeywell is affiliated with Pentax. They used to call it Asahi Pentax. It's a Japanese company. It was the renowned lens optics company, right? And so when I was 12 years old, my father bought me an Asahi Pentax telescope. I had that telescope up until the time when I moved to Taiwan, and I put it in storage. And I had trouble paying the storage bill, and I tried to work with the company, and they sold everything in my storage space without notifying me legally, even though they had my new address overseas, they had my fax number, they had my email. They refused to. I should have sued them. I really should have, but if I sued everybody that I should have sued, I'd be doing nothing else. So I don't have that telescope anymore, but I had it up until 2004, and they sold it out from underneath me and didn't tell me. Those were bad times. When I first came to Taiwan, they were bad times. Now times are good. But getting back to that, my father bought the telescope for me, but he never availed himself. They're huge everywhere. My father was a Honeywell engineer, he's a troubleshooter. They would send my father to places where they needed help, where they needed somebody who knew what they were doing to go in and fix things and make it right. That's how I got into manufacturing, because my father used to take me into factories. When I was really small, I remember when I was like 13, he took me actually into a top secret classified factory where they were making propellers, screws for submarines, and those designs that's national defense protected stuff, and I'm walking around like I own the place. It's amazing. Of course, things were different back then. But to get back to it, my father's friends all had Asahi Pentax cameras, and they were all into photography. So, my dad's Honeywell friends, these older men, they all liked me because I like to talk about scientific stuff, and I actually became pretty close friends with some of my dad's friends. I've always been like that, though, It's important, I think, for young people to be exposed to older people, because you can have friends of any age. And of course, the classic one is Jonathan and David from the Bible, right? And Jonathan was like 30 years older than David, but they were very, very, very close. And it's possible to have friendships like that. So, one of my father's friends who, when we moved to Greensboro, friends from the company, he took an interest in me. He was, my father was actually a little, not like me in Phoenix. My father was a little bit older when I was born. So some of the contemporaries of my father's were a lot closer to my age than my father was. And so there was one gentleman named John Mullen who took an interest in me, and he and I we would do some stuff together, we'd go for a drive or something, and he would let me drive the car and show me how to work the transmission and like leave a long patch of burning rubber down the road in the Honeywell company car and stuff like that. It's cool. But we used to talk about photography a lot, and that's the stuff that we were interested in. And he came up with, and I'm not sure if he invented it or not, but there's a developer from years ago called Edwall. I believe it's EDWALL or ELL. I don't know. Edwall. I just know how to say it. FG7, as I recall. And he came up with a formula, the amount of Edwall FG7 and water and time in order to develop Ektachrome 400 ASA. Didn't use ISO yet. In those days they used ASA. And you could multiply that, like you could, we called it pushing the film back then. You could turn 400 ASA into 800 or 1200 or 3200 or whatever you wanted. And John Mullen took a picture of the dash lights of his car and pushed it to 3200. It looked like the daylights. You know, it was amazing. And so he gave me some bottles of Edwell FG7 and this formula, and I started going to concerts. I'm going to tell you something I did, which I thought was really cool. I was 17 years old, and I went to the Greensboro Coliseum, and I had bought a ticket to Foghat, who opened for the Edgar Winter group. And I had a camera. John may have been the one who gave it to me. It was a totally manual camera, and by that time, I had already understood photography enough to take a guess on, you know, the room lighting. And basically, I mean, it's manual focus and everything. And I shot, I think I had 3 rolls of film. I shot Foghat and I shot Edgar Winter. Now, Edgar Winter and both those bands, Foghat and Edgar Winter, have been favorites of mine. Edgar Winter actually has a lot of influence on me. And if you listen to Gotta Keep Dancing, you'll definitely hear Edgar Winter in the scream that I do at the end. But back to the show. I shot all this film. And through my father's friends, they had all donated all their used stuff that they weren't using anymore. So I had an enlarger, and I had, you know, development trays and development tanks and stuff. And I used this Edwell FG7, and I pushed this film because it was, you know, I shot in black and white, and it was kind of dark. It was the Coliseum, and sometimes there would be a spotlight on someone, sometimes there wouldn't be. Anyway, I don't know what happened, but I nailed the development. I nailed it, and the negatives were perfect. I was like, wow, this is really cool, because I had learned all this from these older guys, right? And so I listened to them, and then I printed the pictures in my own darkroom in the kitchen. I told my dad, I said, okay, I'm going to make the darkroom tonight, and I put up, you know, curtains on the windows and stuff, and I had a big red light and so forth. I told my sister, you know, if you come in, you knock on the door. I'm going to lock the front door, but don't use your key. And she said, okay. So then I got this bright idea. Now, this is really funny. Using the ARP 2600, sorry, the ARP 2600 synthesizer. Guys, remember that big hit, Frankenstein, right? Dun 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 dun. Right. And he was the first guy that used a keyboard on a strap, and he came out, and I got pictures of all this stuff. Gosh, I wish I had that today. But my father had a Honeywell microfiche reader, which is a type of microfilm reader. Hang on. I had to drink some water because I'm down to the bottom of the glass, and the cinnamon, which is essentially the bark of a tree, was getting caught in my throat. Sorry. So I, for the fun of it, and the microfiche reader basically had a carriage. You would put the microfilm in it, and the carriage was shut, and it would slide into the machine, and it would project this up onto a parabolic silvered projection screen in the machine. You know, and you guys have seen microfilm probably like on movies and stuff, you know, where some investigator will want to go back to, you know, and look at newspapers from 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and it's all on microfilm, right? Well, that's one of those readers. My father had one of those. And so I got this bright idea that I should use that as an enlarger for photography. So what I did was, because Edgar Winter was famous for using this ARP 2600, I asked myself, how did he set the controls on the 2600? I'll bet I could see him if I blow him up on the microfiche reader. So I asked my dad, he said, yeah, go ahead and do what you want with this. I put it in the kitchen. And the microfiche reader is not designed to be an enlarger. But what I did was I put my negative in the carriage and I moved it all around because it's a huge magnification. You move it an inch, like, and it goes like all over the screen, right? And so I'm moving the carriage like this and trying to find it. And finally, I'm like, whoa, there's the panel of the ARP 2600 synthesizer, and it's shining on this parabolic screen. So I turned the microfiche reader off, and I took a piece of printing paper and I stuck it on the parabolic screen, okay? I just held it there, and I forget what I used. I might have used like stick tack or something. Anyway, and then I turned it on and I counted, because back then everything was done with a timer, right? You expose it, dodge and burn. You old school guys will know what I'm talking about. But I just turned it on and went like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, and turned it off. And then I developed it, and I had an absolutely perfect, in focus, clear picture of Edgar Winter's ARP 2600 front panel, every patch cord, every setting on it. It was amazing. And nobody that I talked to in my peer group, anybody in high school or whatever, was even remotely interested or thought, had any idea what I had accomplished. But that's just how it goes. So now, in 2006, was Lonesome Dave still with us? Because the current rendition of Foghat is no more Foghat than I am. Lonesome Dave and Rod Price are both long gone. I really admired Rod Price, and a lot of pictures that I took were of him, and I really liked him a lot. He's one of the guitarists that inspired me, and he always had the mustache and the British guitar look, and the mustache, that kind of look. I'm talking about. He was really cool. He reminded me of a friend of mine from Florida named Paul Byther, Bythager. You can look him up look up Paul Byther on Facebook from Tampa, Florida, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He has the Rod Price look too, so like that. But yeah, all those days, man. I never met those guys, but when Lonesome Dave passed, a couple of friends of mine said, "Hey, you should go audition." I passed all of those up. I passed up the, when Lou Graham had quit Foreigner. I just passed all that stuff up, man. I just didn't want to do it, But yeah, the original bass player, what was the name? Tony, Tony. Yeah, I forget his surname, but he had a double neck bass, and one of the necks was a guitar, but he never played the guitar. He just played the bass neck, and the bass part of the guitar sounded so incredible that I understand why he did that. But I have been yakking for an hour and 25 minutes. Guys, I'm going to go. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to do some composing tonight before it gets too late. On the JTS front, I'm going down to JTS later this week. They've got the video that I shot with Ian. It's almost completely finished. And, oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, it's too bad. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, Mike, send me a link, in the comments, okay? I'd appreciate that. I didn't know about that. Wow. They're getting old. See, I'm at like the next generation, just under those guys. So, yeah, I got a lot of gas left. Don't worry about it. I'm not going anywhere. I got a lot of gas left. So, and I am close to having a new release. So, I'll let you guys know about that. I don't expect to sell a bunch of. All of you listen to it once. Give me a thumbs up. Lou Graham was one of the greats, and he had a lot of medical problems. Fortunately for me, I had a lot of medical problems too, and that took me out of the big time. But fortunately for me, my medical problems did not affect my voice, and that's been a blessing. So I still have a lot of my voice, and well, you'll see soon. You guys take care. Thanks so much. I'm going to go. I'm going to leave the red lights on. I'm going to fire up and do some composing. You guys take care. We'll see you next time on Tom Live TV. Thanks so much for joining. Have a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And remember, like Raul says, somebody had to tell you, and I love you, so might as well be me. Bye-bye.